Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 powerful things to let go of and how that will then allow us to actually attract what we want into our life. Now with all these videos, I always say this, but we don't necessarily attract that which we want. We always attract who we are being. So depending upon our beliefs we have, the actions that we're taking, how we identify ourselves to be, that's what's then is going to perpetuate the kind of experiences that we have. Now these 3 things I'm going to share with you are things that if you let go of, you will start to make room for yourself to be actually able to perceive that which you want because you are changing the core of who you are being. Now the first one has to do with letting go of beliefs that no longer serve you. Now this is something that I hammer down on a lot, and that's because I believe it is one of the things that has the most powerful effect on our life is letting go of things that no longer serve us, and that means things that we identify ourselves as that no longer serves who we are. So many times we'll have a reference experience of something that happened when we were very young. That thing happened and that almost left an imprint in us of how we identify ourselves to be. Now, example of this may be that you were growing up and maybe you were like 5 or 6 years old and somebody told you to shut up, to be quiet, you were meant to be seen and not heard. That's a big one that I heard growing up. And that then began to filter the way that we saw the world, and we almost began to hold ourselves back because that's how we thought we had to be. Now, the first part of this is just simply recognizing what that reference experience may have been, even just being aware of the belief that's there, and as we become aware of the belief, we can then choose to let it go. Now, the reason we can let it go is because we are aware of it. When we are not aware of what the belief is, it just continues to perpetuate itself because it's on autopilot. But the moment we become aware of it, we can choose not to identify with it anymore, and we can choose to see that the only reason it is there is because it was on autopilot. It was unconscious. We are now conscious of it, and we do not prefer it, so we simply let it go, and we prefer to be who we want in the present moment. So this could mean letting go of not expressing ourselves, letting go of the belief that we're not allowed to, able to, or that we're not going to be judged if we do, and then we can just start to condition ourselves to be somebody that says what we prefer, that takes out that filter, that starts to become who we are meant to be, and as we begin to do that, we start to condition ourselves to be who we prefer, and that will then lead to us attracting that which we want into our life. Now, the second thing to let go of involves where our attention span is. Now, a lot of times we might watch television, we might watch the news, and a lot of times when we do that, what we are doing is literally syncing our mind up with whatever we are perceiving. So when we do that, we can then realize that an important thing to do would be to tailor where our attention goes. Now, to do this, you could simply do something like turn off the television or switch it to something that's more positive, because when we watch the news, what we are doing is we are starting to, in a way, model the way that we see the world. It's like then we assume that because negativity is pretty much the only thing they share on the news, we assume that that's just how the world is, when in reality, that's just one perception based upon maybe some propaganda of a news channel that wants more clicks or that wants more viewership. So realize that when you let go of where your attention span is, you let go of certain habits of maybe watching television, watching things that don't serve you, you start to allow yourself to actually sink to being the person that you prefer to be. So you have to cut out where that attention is. You have to cut out the things that don't serve you. Television is probably the one that if you let go of, you will really start to see a big difference in your life. You'll start to feel different because as you're not putting yourself and putting your attention in those things, you start to actually have ability and space to put your attention in things that actually serve you. Be more aware of your attention, where it is. Maybe you can read in that time you would have watched an hour and a half of television, and you can read something you're passionate about, therefore creating yourself to sync up with the person that you prefer to be. And as you become that person, you will then experience the reflection in your life of that version of you. Now, the third thing to let go of is the feeling of not being enough, is the feeling and the attachment to needing whatever you want to attract to be in your life. You see, when we walk around feeling like what we have isn't here, we are beating the drum and imposing that what we want isn't here. It's almost like we are emphasizing experiencing that in our life. And the way that we get through that is by realizing that we must first feel the emotion of what we want to experience, like what that thing represents to us, that emotion. And as we begin to condition that feeling into us, we then increase the probability that we can even perceive it. So we must first off realize, what do we want? Maybe we want to do what we want to do, like what we love for a living. We want to get out of our 9-to-5 job. Well, in order to do that, we must first create the feeling of that freedom. Be grateful for what we already have in our life. As we begin to imagine that, maybe in visualization, as we begin to condition that as to a part of who we are, and to then just be that, what we then begin to do is sync ourselves up with that reality, and we start to allow that probability to come in. So we must first feel the emotion of that which we want, and as we begin to feel the emotion, we condition ourselves for being that way, and we then are in more alignment with who we prefer to be. So realize that you attracting what you want into your life is simply about you optimizing who you're being in the present moment. To do that, simply let go of where your attention span is, let go of things that don't serve you. Realize that watching negative TV shows may bring down your self-image about who you are, especially if they portray you having to be a certain way to feel good about yourself. Start to let go of your attention to those negative aspects. Be aware of how you're feeling in the present moment. Simply let go of the beliefs that no longer serve you. Become aware of what they are and just simply decide to be the person that you prefer to be. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, share it if you found it of value, and as always, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste. All right, bye.